Hello, I'm going to do a very quick video on this recent release from the CDC where they have the provisional life expectancy estimates for 2021 for the US population. And, this is getting reported on in general press and in, of course, specialty press in life insurance and annuities. And a lot of people get confused. They do release this every year, but because the changes have been so large in 2020, so this happened last year as well, and in 2021, the life expectancy that they're reporting, so the results they're reporting, it decreased an additional 0.9 years, so almost another full year life expectancy from birth in 2021 compared to 2020. So this has been quite the slide since 2019. What does this mean for you as an individual in the United States? Do you have to change your retirement planning? What does this mean? So this is very short. I will do a more detailed video later. I'm going to do this. There will be notes where I provide a link to this report in the CDC and some general reporting on this, as well as to a tool I will demonstrate that is what you actually should be using for retirement planning. So this is the top level figure that I'm going to explain. This is life expectancy at birth for total population and split out by sex, going from the year 2000 to 2021, and of course the 2021 is provisional, but it's not going to change very much in the final statistics in any case. It's going to be around there. And this is what I was expecting because mortality did go up in 2021 compared to 2020, and most of that was from the second half of the year with the increase in COVID deaths in the summer and fall. So I was expecting the life expectancy to go down. We can see that life expectancy had been going up for several years, and it actually kind of stalled out in the mid-2010s. And that happened before. And then, of course, it plummeted during the pandemic. What you're looking at here is something called period life expectancy. And sometimes I call it calendar year life expectancy because the word period, throws people as well. This is not the life expectancy you use when you are trying to figure out stuff for life insurance, or definitely not when you're trying to figure out retirement planning. What period life expectancy means is for a specific period, in this case 2021, that calendar year period, you're collapsing the mortality experience for a population for that year. So what we're doing is we're building a mortality table for 2021. So for everyone, and I'll just give an example, say age 40 in 2021, what was the mortality rate for the people who are age 40 in 2021? What was the mortality rate for people who are age 50 in 2021? Notice these are non-overlapping groups. What was the mortality rate for people who are age 60? And, we figure that out, and we have fractional ages and yada, yada. And we come up with an entire mortality table for the period 2021, for calendar year 2021. Then we pretend as if there were a person who saw throughout their lifetime this mortality table from birth and calculate a life expectancy from that. That's period life expectancy. Notice there is no individual who ever sees this mortality table throughout their lifetime. Now you may be wondering, well, then why do we do this? Well, this is a way to collapse the information of mortality experience for an entire population for a specific period, in this case, calendar year 2021, into a single number. And this is a way to track population level mortality. Now, I prefer age-adjusted mortality rates, not life expectancy. And these things are inverses of each other. So age-adjusted mortality rate went up, then the population period life expectancy will go down. So they move in opposite directions. I don't like period life expectancy because people think they understand what it means, but the problem is they mix it up with cohort life expectancy. Cohort life expectancy is what you should use for retirement planning. So what is cohort life expectancy, and what's the distinction between cohort life expectancy and period life expectancy? Cohort life expectancy is where you take a cohort life table, and that is where you take it from when someone was born and the mortality table that's experienced throughout their lifetime. So here I'm at the Social Security Administration website, Office of the Chief Actuary, and they have cohort life tables. Now, here's the issue with cohort life tables. Obviously, well, you can wait until everybody from a specific cohort when they were born have actually gone through and all of them have died. Now, we can't do that for most of them. So I was born in 1974. They publish these tables in decades, so I'll use the cohort 1970 and 1980 tables and blend them together to come up with, something approximate to me. But most of the people from 1970 and 1980 cohorts are still alive. Obviously, we had to project them. So I'll show you one of the cohort tables, and it will be, this is the cohort life table for year of birth 1960. And a lot of them are still alive as well. So what we have, and it's broken out by sex, so male and female, I'll just go very quickly. The first column, X, that's the age, and then Q sub X is given that you're age X, what is the probability that you die in the next year? So I'll just do 10. So if you're age 10, so that would have been the year 1970 for that cohort, the probability that they died in the next year is 0.00035. That's for the males, age 10. And then you have the females, 0.00025. So that would have been the historical. But then, of course, if we have to get to much higher ages, in the future, like 80, well, they're not 80 yet. These are projected. So those are the cohort. So those are the cohort life tables. So one of the things that I didn't mention in the PDF is that actually the life expectancy is in the cohort life tables themselves. The reason I didn't mention it is that PDF is old, and I want you to use the most recent tables. So I'm going to get the female tables in Excel, and I'll open those up and show you where to get that info. Okay, this is from the 2022 Social Security Trustees Report. Yes, they know about COVID, but this is based off of birth years. So I'm going to use my own birth year as the result, as the example, and they actually have the exact birth year. So I'm going to put 1974 in there, sorry, and I put the data filter in there so we can find that now. I'm going to use my current age, which is 48. And where is the life expectancy? Now you've got to realize life expectancy is the number of years left. And so if you want to figure out the age, I'll do 48 plus, and it's that E sub X, E of X, or E circle X. So I'm going to add that. So that's 85 years. That's very different from 76, isn't it? And even if I went to, and let's change this, I'll do that. Let's pretend someone was born in 2021. This is projected out to 2100. So someone born in 2021, what are they projecting as for a female that they're going to live? 86 years. That's very different from 76 years. Even if we compared it against the female life expectancy that they had calculated for period life expectancy. So these are very different numbers. Cohort life expectancy and period life expectancy are very different, and they've always been very different. So while the period life expectancy dropped, we don't really have reason to believe that the cohort or your personal life expectancy, unless, again, your health status has changed, dropped. So I am recommending the Actuaries Longevity Illustrator that comes from the American Academy of Actuaries. So get started. And so you're going to enter your information. And so I'll put in me. And then I'm just going to put in some fake information. This is not my, and I'll pretend I will retire at age 70. I do not smoke, and I'll just say I'm average. So here we go. So we saw from the CDC report that the life expectancy had dropped. This was, again, the period life expectancy had dropped to about 76 years. For the Actuaries Longevity Illustrator, first off, we don't even care about life expectancy, which is a weighted average. Okay, we care about probabilities of living to a certain age. So let's look at my median. My median, given that in 1970, so they were assuming I'm age 52, and given that, and that I'm 1970 cohort, they're projecting that I have about a 50% chance of living to age 90 as a female in average health. That's quite different from a life expectancy of age 76. So if you're doing retirement planning based off of these CDC reports, you may get a very wrong impression of how long you may live. But even so, life expectancy is not the same as retirement planning, where there's a distribution of ages that you could be living to, because that's just a 50% chance. I could have a 10% chance of living to age 100. So this is one of the issues that I have with coming out with these reports. If you look at the report, and I'll switch back to the report, here is an analysis of contribution by major causes of death to that change in period life expectancy. I'm not going to explain this right now. I'll do this in a future detailed video. This is a very technical analysis. A fellow actuary contacted me who was just flummoxed by this, and I do not blame them. They were getting very confused because you have this very large COVID component and this very large influenza and pneumonia component, very large positive and negative components. I don't blame them. And I'm trying to do this video for a general audience. When I do the detailed one, I'm really going to have to dig into this. That's why that one's going to be probably next week when I get into that one. This is a technical report. I'm sorry guys, this is not intended for a general audience. So this is why I went over to these other sites, which are also kind of technical, but the Actuaries Longevity Illustrator, I'm sorry, it does have a lot of language and a lot of disclaimers, but it's intended for a general audience. Unfortunately, when we talk about life expectancy, it's very misleading to the general public, because we're using language that you think you recognize, but we're using it in a technical sense, and it's very misleading. And so you see life expectancy 76 years, and you're thinking, well, and I'm retiring when I'm 65, and I'll only have 11 years of retirement. And here I'm sitting here saying, no, maybe you should be expecting to be living to 90 years old or older in retirement, and now you're confused. You're getting mixed signals. That's because we're reusing terminology that are intended for different purposes. The CDC is not here to help you with retirement planning. The CDC is here to monitor public health. So they're trying to collapse a whole bunch of information about mortality trends into a single number, which I hate. So I'm going to drop into the video notes a link to a blog post where I'm going to have a link to how I've teased apart all the different mortality trends for different age groups. Because yes, COVID was a big impact, but unintentional injuries, which is accidental causes, which is drug overdoses, accidental, motor vehicle accidents, drowning, falls, those are major categories. They're all crammed into there. Heart disease, chronic liver disease and cirrhosis, those are alcohol-related deaths, suicide. There's all sorts of stuff in there, guys, and they're trying to collapse all this information into a single number, and I, as the life actuary, am trying to tease it apart into all the details, because there's a lot of different things going on at different ages, whether it's like the very old age group, age 80 and above, where, of course, most deaths occur, versus say young adults, age 18 to 39 versus middle ages, age 30 to 59, or maybe say the baby boomers, age 60 to 79 versus children, what's going on with children, age 1 to 17. You want to know what are the different trends there. Very different things were happening at the different age groups. And those all get collapsed into a single number of life expectancy, age 76 years. And unfortunately for you as an individual, there's no context. So I'm sorry, guys. Media want a single number, but it's a whole bunch of numbers getting collapsed into a single number. So I will have a much, much longer video next week. See y'all.